Primary ignition.
Welcome to Unlimited Power. My name is D-Rod, and here's my guide for playing the Mandalorian in Star Wars Unlimited's newest set, Shadows of the Galaxy. Now, if this is your first time watching one of my videos, I always want to start off by talking about the goal here is to look at commons and uncommons within the set that work well with your leader, their abilities, and the variety of aspects that may be available to you. Yes, there are going to be some rares and legendaries that are standout cards with these leaders, but you're only getting 6 booster packs in your pre-release kit. And with that, that means you're only going to have minimum of 6 rares or a couple legendaries within there, and maybe you'll get a few more. So you really want to focus on the cards that you're going to have plenty of, which are going to be commons and uncommons throughout the set. Now, the Mandalorian is a special unit because it's in one of the starter decks that we see in the game. And so there are going to be some special cards that work well with the Mandalorian that are only available in that starter deck. But let's go ahead and take a look at some of the cards that will work well within the set by looking first at the Mandalorian and some of his abilities. Now, as a leader, the Mandalorian ability says whenever you play an upgrade, which means you have to play a card from your hand, you may exhaust this leader. And if you do, exhaust an enemy unit with 4 or less remaining HP. And I did say you need to play it from your hand, you can smuggle these in, but essentially creating upgrade tokens does not count to trigger this ability. But I think this is really neat. You can really protect yourself early on by playing low cost upgrades and exhausting enemy units. What's great about this is does not say anywhere about once per turn. So the more upgrade cards you play, the less damage you're going to take on your base. Now, as an epic action, if you control 6 or more resources, you can deploy the Mandalorian. When he comes into play, he's a 4/7, and he still has the same ability, except now when you play an upgrade, you can exhaust an enemy with 6 or less remaining HP. So I like this. I like focusing on the HP of units rather than their overall health. You'll be able to take care, or sorry, their overall cost. You'll be able to take care of a lot of units in play. Now let's start looking at some cards within Mando's aspect that works with him. L337 is going to be one of the first ones I recommend just because it's a great 2-cost unit that's a 2/2 that comes into play with a shield, or you can rescue a captured card. If there's no card to rescue, take the shield and you have a great early drop unit that can survive a couple of swings. Now you can always smuggle this unit in for the cost of 4 in case you are playing an opponent who's playing heavy capture mechanics. The next card I'm going to recommend is uncommon called Spare the Target. This is a great one because you will be playing a lot of bounties to make Mando work, and this allows you to return an enemy non-leader unit to its owner's hand, and you collect the bounty as well. Yes, your opponent's still going to get some value by playing the card again, especially if it has win played ability. You're only stalling, but that's really what Mando wants to do. He wants to stall your opponent so you can get more early swings in. This will help you kind of keep tempo as well as return bounties, so that way you can take value of the bounties and hopefully pull some more. And last is going to be Coruscant Dissident. Underworld unit that costs 3. It's a 3/4, and on attack you may ready a resource. Again, readying these resources may allow you to play some low-cost upgrades, getting more value out of Mando's ability. Let's continue looking at the cunning aspect and focus first on Ma Klanuki. It's an underworld trick event that only costs 1 and allows you to return a friendly non-leader unit to your hand, and if you do, deal 3 damage to another unit. Which is great. You'll mostly be playing a lot of underworld units and probably some Mandalorians with the Mando, so this is a card you can really benefit from. The yellow aspect does have a lot of underworld units, and most of your Mandalorians will be in other colors, so I do recommend playing this type of card. Speaking of underworld units, let's look at Chain Code Collector, a 4-cost unit that's a 4/2 with ambush. What makes him really strong is when they do attack, if the defender has a bounty, which they should if you're playing Mando correctly, then it's going to get a -4, -0 for the attack. That's really great. The Chain Code Collector can remove a unit in play while taking probably no damage itself, and you'll still get the benefits of playing those bounties over and over. Enticing Reward is going to be one of the bounties I recommend. Of course, there's going to be plenty of bounties in the set, and there's about 2 for every color, but Reward will help you a bit because it is a 1-cost bounty, and as you defeat the unit, you'll search the top 10 cards of your deck for 2 non-unit cards. probably bounties or upgrades, and you'll draw them. Bounties or upgrades. Bounties are upgrades. So this is a good card to kind of keep your tempo going, which is what you want to do with someone like the Mandalorian. You don't want to really want to run out of upgrades because upgrades are essentially events that exhaust units for you. In the aggression aspect, I'm going to recommend Clan Challengers. I really like this card. It's a strong common for 5. It's a 3/6 with raid 3, which means when it attacks, it hits for 6. Whether it's a base or a unit, it's a heavy hitter. If you play an upgrade on this unit, then you can overwhelm your opponent, meaning any excess damage goes straight to your opponent's base. That's pretty good when you have 6 health and 6 power. The upgrade I'd recommend to play is Guild Target. It's a great little upgrade uncommon here that says when you collect the bounty, deal 2 damage to a base, 3 if this was on a unique character. There's a lot of unique characters within the set, so there's going to be some chances you're getting 3 damage. And again, this is going to keep with the tempo you want, which is exhausting your opponent, swinging into units or the base, and this will kind of do the same thing. Remove a unit from play, hit the base as well. Maybe you're using it with clan challengers and it's a lot more damage to the opponent's base than they expected. Last is Detention Block Rescue, a 3-cost event that deals 3 damage to a unit. This is just a really good card. It's a common. If you end up going aggression, you're going to want to play this because that 3 damage can really add up and really take care of a lot of units on the board. And if they happen to be guarding a unit, it'll deal 6 damage instead. For Vigilance, I'll recommend Foundling. You're probably going to want to go a little bit more in that Mando build, especially if you're a fan of the character. So definitely play this low 1-cost upgrade that's going to make other units, probably your Underworld ones, Mandalorians, so you can get a couple of more effects going on. This will also give you a +1/+1 on the unit, strengthening them and keeping them in play for a bit longer. Fen Rao is a great uncommon in an upgrade package. It does cost 6, but they're a 5/6 Mandalorian. And when you play an upgrade from your hand, it costs 2 less. Or I should say, when you play this unit, you can then play an upgrade and it costs 2 less. So you can get some value out of here of some of the other common upgrades that do cost 1 or 2. So I like that. This also has a second ability that says whenever you play an upgrade on Fen Rao, you give an enemy unit -2/-2 for the phase. So this unit's doing something that just like Mando does, right? Every time you play an upgrade, you can get a reward. So put your upgrades on Fen Rao and then trigger Mando's ability, trigger Fen Rao's ability, and just watch the abilities start stacking on each other. And last is going to be Rival's Fall, a strong vigilance common that defeats any unit for just 6 resources, whether it's their leader or a basic unit in space or the ground arena. This card can deal with it. For the command aspect, I'm going to recommend Outflank. It is not an upgrade, but it is a strong event that allows you to cheat the system by attacking with 2 units in 1 action. This can really save you from your opponent swinging into one of your damage units. It eliminates those tough choices that you have to make sometimes about which unit to swing in with first. And this can also be that game-winning card when your opponent thinks they have the time to play a Sentinel unit before you finish them off, and you just play 1 card and swing with 2 instead of the 1 they expected. Great value here. Next is going to be Sundari Peacekeeper, a 3-cost Mandalorian, kind of fitting with the theme here. They have a Raid 2 and Restore 2, and they are a 1/5. This is a great unit to put upgrades on yourself because that Raid 2 is going to make them hit a little bit harder, and that Restore 2 is going to make sure your opponent's annoyed by it, keeping you alive, especially with a lot of your aggressive and combat tricks that you're doing throughout the game with Mando. And last, the upgrade I'd recommend is the Bounty Hunter's Quarry. Yes, there are other bounties in every color that you can play. This would just be the one I want to highlight because this one, when you defeat the unit, you search again for 5 cards in your deck, and then you can you search for a unit that costs 3 or less and play it for free. So if you do play this bounty on a unique unit, you can search 10 cards, which is going to be over a third of your deck, which is really great in a limited format. So again, bounties that can essentially help you find other upgrades in your deck is going to be super good. In the hero aspect, I gotta recommend This Is the Way. Yes, it has Mando's art on there. You see the forge, you see the nice Beskar armor. It's a 2-cost hero hero event that allows you to search the top 8 cards of your deck for up to 2 Mandalorian and or upgrade cards, reveal them, and draw them. This is again why it's important to play some of those low cost events, low cost upgrades, sorry. So you can get these cards out sooner. And again, you're going through your deck quickly to get all these upgrades that you can use as exhaust events with Mando. Next is the Gray Squadron Y Wing. It's just a solid 2-cost space unit. It's a 1/3, but when it attacks, it forces your opponent to choose either a unit they control or a base, and they have to deal 2 damage to it. I love cards like this. I think this is going to be the one you see a lot of heroic players throw into their decks. And last is Protector of the Throne for the heroic aspect. It's a 3-cost unit that's a 2/4, and if you can put an upgrade on it, it'll gain Sentinel. It is a Mandalorian, so if you're going for a little bit more of that Mando package, you should be able to find some cards to upgrade it pretty easily. One of the first ones I'd recommend is the Mandalorian Warrior, a 3-cost unit that's a 3/3. It has no color, so it's easy to put into your deck, as well as when played, you just give an experience token to another Mandalorian unit, whether that's Mando himself or maybe those guards earlier. For an upgrade, we're going to recommend Rich Reward. Attach this to a unit for 1, and when you defeat them, you can put up to you can put up to 1 experience token on up to 2 units. So you'll get some value there for sure. And lastly is the Twin Pod Cloud Car. Not a Mandalorian, but it is a solid pick in the limited format because it is a 3-cost space unit. That's a 2/2 with Restore 2. Restore can really get you there. It can really help you out when you are playing the aggressive game in the limited format because it allows you to keep swinging, and any damage coming to your base, you're healing, right? It's going to keep that gap between you and your opponent, giving you a little bit safety, and so you don't have to pull back and play defense too early. So this is my recommendation for playing The Mandalorian at your local pre-release. I hope you have a great time. Let me know how it goes in the comments below. Did you play Mando? What rares or legendaries were you happy to throw in this package? How well did you do? 2/2, 3/1, sweep the whole thing. I want to know. Best of luck, and again, may the Force be with you.